Good evening again, everybody. This is Brian Brake and Mr. Boettcher. We're breaking down security for March 14th, 2014.
2014, wow.
I know. Yeah. It's awful,
Just in
man.
case you're listening to this decades from now.
Well, yeah, but the
happens.
information will be no less important in a decade.
So what are we talking about?
Well, that information we're talking about is going to be passwords and password complexity, and why do we need passwords, and how long it takes to crack a password, and we're going to go through some Bob stories that we've got that just our years of experience and inexperience have taught us about passwords, and
Yep.
some ways we can help insulate ourselves from password guessery and general nastiness.
So if you're in charge of a password policy, or you have a password policy at your place of work or the application you're building, whatever, what's a good password policy to have? How do you know it's good enough? Those are the types of questions we'll be, kind of asking ourselves and going through and how to calculate.
Well, since you brought up the password policy thing, let's talk about some of those password policies. I mean,
Right.
They range from super, really technical, upper lower number special stuff, all the way to
Whatever you want. Sky's
whatever
the
you
limit.
want. Sky's the limit in a bad way, because
Right.
I've gone to websites that it's like you sign up for a process and you go to put in password that's 16 characters, for instance, and they say, oh yeah, we only accept a maximum of 8 characters, and yeah, you can't have any special characters. No, we only allow upper and lower characters, and no numbers. I've actually gone to a site and told them I wasn't going to use their service because of their crap passwords.
Oh, sweet.
I used to work at a company that will remain nameless that had a really, the password policy was just outrageously crazy. So I go in and I'm setting my passwords initially, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, choose a password, and they give you this long list of bullets, and one of them is password is case sensitive. Makes sense, right? Okay, so we know that upper and lower numbers are, upper and lower characters are being used. Must be at least 8 characters long, which is good. Must be no more than 12 characters long, and must include a number. And then they keep going on, they get crazy, and they're saying, must have at least one lowercase letter. Well, didn't you say that when your passwords were case sensitive up above? Or must have at least one uppercase character. You said the same thing when your password was case sensitive. And then they got really stupid. First character cannot be a symbol. And let's see. What was the kicker for me that made me laugh? Must not include a common word or commonly used sequence of characters. I didn't understand what that even meant.
Commonly used sequence of characters. Probably like ASDF, something like that.
ASDF.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, I could see that. But what's a common word? How would they know it's not a common word? The only thing I could think of was, after thinking about it, and they must have been storing the passwords in plain text in whatever it is they were storing these in, because how would they know or care if the password was a common word or not? So they don't want to make the password easily guessable, like, oh, QWERTY, putting QWERTY in the password. They must be storing these passwords in plain text.
Or maybe they're afraid someone has like a dictionary attack that potentially could be going on. So a dictionary attack doesn't have to be dictionary words. It can be things like QWERTY.
Yeah.
Well,
the recent data breaches, a lot of times you'll find the password and username lists on Pastebin or something. So people will take those passwords and use those, because if 80 million people got their Snapchat accounts, hacked, 80 million people are going to use a lot of the same passwords. So, I guess if a commonly used series of characters or common words like password probably aren't, good to be used.
Right. So, yeah, I have right here a password policy.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
just
real
hot off the press, huh?
hot off the presses, a real password policy that I downloaded. I won't mention the company name, but it says password cannot contain spaces or blanks or any special characters. Use numbers and alphabet letters only. Password must be 6 to 12 characters in length. So, if I were trying to reverse engineer this, say I dump some hashes and we're trying to reverse engineer passwords, I'd use the 80-20 rule. I would say that 80%, since there are no other restrictions, are going to be 6 characters, all lowercase letters. And you know what? I would more than likely be correct about 80% of those passwords. And that, cracking those passwords, 6 characters is going to take minutes just on my laptop. You know?
So how did you find that? Was that on the internet accessible?
Yes. I'm not going to
Really?
mention the company or whatever, but it is a real password policy. It's got a couple of more rules on it. The password and username can't be identical. I mean, okay. And the first character of the password cannot be a number. I mean, that goes from 5 seconds to, 4.8 seconds. That's all.
Well, that makes it even more easy, because if the password is at least 8 characters and you know that the first character can't be a number, when you set up your regex, you set up your hashcat, or you set up your Jack Ripper, you can set those things and say, okay, I know that the first character can't be a number, so that's 10 characters missing out of the... What did they say? You have to use upper, lower, and number, not special?
That's right. No special characters. So,
okay, so there's, 26 times 2 is 52? 26 times 2 is 52?
I don't want to do math on here. It just
I was told there wasn't going to be math, but yeah. So upper and lower is 26 characters and 26 characters, so that's 52 characters. So instead of 62 characters,
plus 10.
Yeah. So instead of 62 characters being used for the first character, you only have 52. Right. So that makes it even easier to find.
And the way you calculate how many possibilities there are is you just take the alphabet that you're going to use, upper, lower, number, special, whatever. If you do full ASCII, it's going to be 95 characters. So take that alphabet and for the first letter and multiply that by the alphabet of the second letter, multiply that by the alphabet of the third letter, and so on. So if you have an 8-character password and you use all 95 ASCII characters, it'll be 95 to the 8th power. And that's how you calculate.
So
it's 95.
I thought it was like 95 factorial. Is not the factorial stuff?
No.
Okay, so it's 95 to the 8th power times 95 to the 8th power?
No, if your 8-character password, it's 95 to the 8th. You're right. I was told there wasn't supposed to be math on this either, so I don't know
dog, man.
who went wrong here.
Yeah, well,
I did take probability in college, and I'm finally using it after all these years.
See,
finally.
You thought you would never use probability stuff in your... Yeah. Was that in statistics? Was that in your statistics class?
It was called probability, yeah.
Really, a whole class on probability.
Oh, an introduction to probability at that. And it was freaking... Well, anyway. So, yeah, that's how you calculate your password policy. Now, if the more rules you have, the easier it would be reverse engineer the hash, because the more rules, the more restrictive you are. If you just say,
that's right,
minimum 15 characters, sky's the limit. Okay, use the 80-20 rule, probably be all lowercase, 12 characters. What does that come to? I don't know. I'd have to do some calculations. Hang on.
Yeah, that's more than how many fingers and toes and anatomically pointy things that I have.
Yeah. The interesting thing I found out was, you can get out your calculator and you can say, okay, upper lower number special, 8 characters versus 3 dictionary words.
Yeah.
They come up to about the same.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I took the Scrabble word list, which is about 178,000 words. And that's also about how many words are in the Oxford English Dictionary. So if you take three random words out of the Oxford English Dictionary and just concatenate them and use that as a password for a dictionary attack, it'd be about the same as an 8-character password, upper lower number special.
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's interesting, and
we
you
learned
can
about
remember
that.
3 words better than you can like at, 7, capital F, crazy stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, that was that gentleman, Purple Monkey Dishwasher. That was Mike Murray, wasn't it?
I believe so. Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Who cannot
That's right.
remember Purple Monkey Dishwasher? Pick have a picture on your desk. When you look at the
Yep.
picture, you remember your password. It's really
Mike
easy to
Murray
remember.
for
Unfortunately,
Mad Security.
yeah. Unfortunately, you can't remember uh, your passwords nowadays because they have to have special characters. They have to be so and so many characters long, uppercase, lowercase. Why not pick okay, my password is very long and arduous. Now, as long as you know how to spell arduous, you can remember that, right? And it's harder to crack than a 12-character upper lower number special, and it's much easier to remember.
You're
So,
killing me because
what?
I was told there wasn't spelling here either. Arduous. I'll have to get my daughter. She knows how to spell arduous.
Well, the point is, why make it so difficult to remember these passwords? People are going to use post-it notes on their screens, right? In order to
Sure.
remember all these passwords. They're going to forget their password. Why not make it easy? Say, okay, 16 characters, use whatever you want. Spaces, equal signs, exclamations, whatever. Go for
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Make it
I
easier
think
on the user.
I think we've been kind of a victim of our own success. I mean, for years, information security people were trying to hammer into businesses that we need to have more difficult passwords. We need to do this. We need to do that. And then along comes compliance frameworks, which almost required upper, lower number, and special. It wasn't, they give you that baseline, the upper, lower number, special, minimum of 8 characters.
That's right.
12 is better. But then companies went a little overboard on it, and you got one guy who's like, oh, we need to make sure that the first character isn't this, and we're trying to make it super difficult, so we don't want people on the outside knowing what it is. And then you get something like that business that you've pulled up the password policy for, and it makes it trivial. You can now guess that company's password policy. I think you need to go further with passwords policies by not disclosing usernames as well. If you have, let's say, break B at bobsconsultingservice.com. Well, a lot of people tied their Windows logins to their email. So if break B at bobsconsultingservice.com is the email, you probably can guess that their login for their WinID is going to be break B. And if you can do that, then you can guess other employees' passwords as well. I mean, other people's usernames in that company as well, which makes it difficult, or more, I'm sorry, not more difficult, but easier for people attacking the company to format the proper attacks. They don't have to guess the username. They can figure that out, and then they can start hacking on the passwords. If they don't know necessarily how usernames are formatted for the domain accounts, that's just another step they've got to go. Sure, yeah, some people are going to say security by obscurity, but not knowing the layers. Like if mine was a number, like 208-39271, something like that. Nobody could guess that if on the outside, unless they knew exactly who is, and what and who is where. So having a kind of an obfuscated username is impossible.
Windows 8 kind of forces people to use email addresses now, right? But we won't go there.
I think you have an option to use your @live.com account as a login, but I would suggest not doing that, because if somebody was to gain access to your email, then they automatically have access to your systems as well.
Well, you mentioned the logins. I mean, there was a study in Britain done, and you know, what was it? 45% of women were willing to give up their username and password for chocolate. So
Well,
all you,
I don't. Is it just women? I thought it was like all sorts of people.
well, 45% of women and 10% of men would give up their
Okay.
passwords for chocolate. I don't know who the 10%
Okay.
are, but you know, I'm sure there could be something where you could think of where 90% of men would give up their passwords for, but and
I bet
also
they would do it for less than $1,000.
I would think so. And, 60% of people gave up their names and phone numbers and their coworkers because they were promised to be entered into a drawing for a free trip to Paris. So it's not hard to get names, phone numbers, accounts, passwords, nefarious ne'er-do-wellers. I mean, they're going to social engineer those things.
Sure. I mean, if you were
So,
attacking a company, you would definitely do that kind of social engineering. You would, if it was an office building and you were trying to get those people and there's a Starbucks next door, you would probably go to the Starbucks and do some social engineering there because vast majority of the people who work next door probably frequent that Starbucks. I mean, that just it makes good sense.
so there's a few ways that hackers can get passwords. Um, you know, you give your password away. I mean,
Yeah.
that's number one. That's the easiest. And also click links. You click links, and you get Trojans. You get all kinds of malware, and you're done for. You're compromised.
Well, yeah,
And
you
then
can scrape password through sending somebody a website that looks very similar to your bank's website, so that you can get that kind of stuff. Matt
yeah, and
Honan, the,
RSA was hacked a while back, and they gave, let's see, they social engineered some employees, and they were offered to enter into some contest, right? And the hackers actually gave away a couple of iPods or something, and they used the same username and password as at work, and that's one of the ways they got in.
that's
In order
fantastic.
to enter into the drawing, you have to register, and in order to register, you have to create an account. And so it's so easy to use the same account and password because that's easier to remember, right? If you use the same account and password as your work account and password, most people are going to do that, and that's how they get in.
So
So,
do you think the hackers budgeted for two iPods? They were like, well,
oh yeah,
we're gonna lose $1,000, but we're gonna gain several $1,000,000 back in profit because we're gonna hack the hell out of this company.
yeah, it's pocket change. You give away a
Yeah,
couple of things, everybody's like, hey, you got to enter this drawing. Look what I won. And so everybody enters this drawing.
yeah.
So, they go from guy who doesn't have many creds, and then he's telling everybody, and they've got 100 people all of a sudden.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. We're talking about password complexity. That begs the question, are passwords done? Do you think the passwords need to go the way of the dodo? Is there a better way of authenticating people?
Oh, are you talking biometrics?
No, I actually don't believe in biometrics. I don't think that's a good idea at all.
So,
I mean, there. So what do we got? The three things are something you know, something you have, something you are. So
okay.
Google just recently bought a company that allows for voice authentication, which is okay. That's an okay idea. That's like sci-fi movie-ish type stuff.
I could record your
Identify
voice, though.
me. Exactly. Your voice can be recorded. Most everybody knows about the fiasco with the finger, sensor on the iPhones, where they were able to defeat it,
Yep.
or they were able to defeat it with like nipple, and putting it on their elbow and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
So biometrics, I don't believe works because one, you can't change your voice. If you use a fingerprint, you can only change your fingerprint 10 times, unless you get new fingerprints or you start using your toes.
Toes.
Or other random body parts or pieces of your body to authenticate yourself. You only have two eyes, so retinal and iris scanners are a lot of these things you don't need to be conscious to do either. I don't need to be conscious for you to get my fingerprints. I don't need to be conscious for you to, take my eyeball out and, use it in the retina scanner.
Right.
I mean, they do, they've got technology that allows for those kinds of things. But do you think the password is still the single best system that we have? Or do you believe that there are other things like SMS auth or two-factor auth that would actually help?
Without knowing the details of some, like, isn't there one where it's the way you type that can be measured? I think that's pretty cool. Like the way you type certain things.
Yeah.
I like that. I want to explore that a little better. But for now, I think the password is probably the best. People are going to choose bad passwords. People are going to click on links. I don't know how you can prevent things like that.
Yeah. Well, Google and Twitter, they do have the two-factor auth stuff. Dropbox has two-factor auth. You use your cell phone, and they have the Google Authenticator on there, which gives you a randomly generated number that you're supposed to be able to use to, log in. The problem is, what happens if you check your Google Gmail on your phone? You've lost your second auth factor because the idea is it's supposed to be out of band. But if you need that token, or that auth token, and you're using your Google Mail on your phone, and it asks you for your auth token, then you're just automatically, you've lost that second band.
I don't know what the answer is, really. I like passwords.
We have RSA hard tokens. We've got.
I don't know. What did you have in mind?
Well, I thought long and hard about this, and I don't really think there is anything that can be better. They all have their negatives. Passwords hard, you're going to write them down. Now, if you keep those in a safe place, then you're okay. But if you put it in a Post-it note underneath your keyboard or on your monitor, there's not really a lot of security there. Same thing with tokens. You can lose a hardware token. I guess you could put a software token on your computer, but then you're going to have to do something like full disk encryption to make sure that if your laptop is stolen, you don't lose anything.
Yep.
The SMS thing, the out of band, the second factor auth stuff, it just adds levels of perceived security, but it's still something you have. You have to have your phone with you. If you forget your phone, you're shed of luck. You're not going to be able to check your email. You're not going to be able to log into your network. You're not going to be able to do what's necessary.
Yeah. I haven't seen a technology, aside from the, what is it called, heuristics, that I think will work well. At least not yet.
So explain to me the heuristics thing. You said
I think it's called
that it
heuristics.
it knows how you're typing, and it will automatically let you in because it knows you are you?
Yeah, based on the way you type a certain sentence. Like it'll print out a sentence like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. You type that, and based on the way you type, that is supposedly unique to you.
Oh.
So a guy who's a finger typer can't, he can't, copy the way you type if you're a Dvorak or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess the only problem with that would be I'd be typing, and then I'd have to backspace, and I'd have to type something. Well, I think after about the fifth time I tried to type it incorrectly, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's him.
Oh yeah, that's him. Yeah. That's the idiot that's owning this computer. Okay, you go do your little thing, your little computer stuff, your emails. Look at him. Go ahead.
My computer's laughing at me. Look, it's the pointer. It's the two-finger typist. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I wonder if there's other ways you could exploit that heuristic bit. Maybe it starts knowing your habits. Like it knows you come in every morning between 8:45 and 8:50, and it goes, okay, I'm only going to log in during that time, or I'm going to activate during that time. You could actually, that's not hard to set up. If you know that a person only, that could be a way to kind of bolster the password bit. If you know a person doesn't work overnight, only works at a certain time during the day, there should be, I remember in Windows 2000 you could do this. You could tell Windows to only allow a person to log in between a certain time.
Okay.
And that might be a way to it won't make it any more secure, but if a guy in Beijing listeners out there, if he's attempting to hack a company and he's doing it during his day and that's our middle of the night here, then he's going to fail because he can't log in. Policy doesn't allow for that.
Yep.
So, maybe you can bolster your password complexities, or non-complexity in this case, with more esoteric protections like time-based login parameters, or you can only log in on certain networks if your user is only on certain networks. That you could do that kind of thing too.
Yeah, I think that could work. Now, my pet peeve is these speaking of long and arduous password policies that actually make things less secure. I mean, it just tells me that the person who created this didn't think it through. They didn't do the math. They didn't think about human nature, and they just created it, like you said, the compliance frameworks. They just created it because it looks more secure on the surface, but they don't really know what they're doing. And I just, man, it just makes my blood boil when I see password policies like that, where it's just overly complex to the detriment of the company.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Mr. My Blood Boils because of improper policies. If you were, let's say, I'm going to make you the CISO or the CSO of my company, and I come to you and I go, Mr. Boettcher, we need a password policy that makes sense, that doesn't piss off our users and cause them to just add a 1 or a 2 at the end of the password every 90 days. How do we do that?
Well, I would say I would start with 20 characters minimum, passphrase. Type in a passphrase.
Just step into my office, you're fired. You're
Why?
fired. 20 characters, bro.
Type a sentence. Okay? It can be words. Type a sentence.
Okay.
My baby's name is Johnny. I don't know how many characters, but anyway, exclamation, whatever makes 20. Okay?
Okay.
There you go. That's your passphrase. 20 characters. Okay. So I'm going to this website. What is it called? DaleSwanson.org. He's got some kind of a password thing. So I'm going to enter the password. What did I say?
My baby's name is Johnny.
My baby's name is Johnny. Okay. So time to crack fast, 10 to the 23 years. Time to crack medium, 10 to the 29. Time to crack slow, 10 to the 33. That is a good password.
So 10 to the 33 years. That's a lot longer than I'm going to live.
Yeah.
That's a lot of years.
So, change it every 6 months or whatever, just because. But, just do a Google search for password. What did I do? Let me hit the back button here.
Yeah, what was that website? Because we can put that on our show notes.
I just typed in password calculator in Google, and this was one of the links. DaleSwanson.org/things/password.
Okay. And we will put that in our show notes, I guess, if you wanted to see how difficult your password is. Oh, wait, don't actually put your actual work passwords because we don't know that guy well enough. He could be harvesting passwords.
Yeah, just something I found about 10 minutes before we started recording. I was, hey, let me search for a password calculator. That's what I came up with. So type in whatever. 10 to the 23 years. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Wow.
Let me try that. Purple Monkey Dishwasher.
Oh, yeah, that's Boettcher. Just let him in. That,
10 to the 23 years again. It's about the same length. I didn't use any apostrophes or anything this time. So yeah.
So wait, put a regular password in. Put like just regular 8-character password. See if it still gives you that 10 to the 23 thing.
Let me see. Let me do 3, capital E, D, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Time to crack fast, 69 seconds.
Okay, so wait, what's the fast,
one more
medium?
character.
What's the fast, medium, and slow thing? What was that?
It has a number next to it, like how many hashes per second the computer.
Okay.
And time to crack slow is 10 to the 6 years, but it only does 100 per second.
10 to the 6 years. That's like 100,000 years or whatever.
Yeah, but you're only doing 100 hashes per second. I believe, checks per second. So the time to crack fast has a crap load of zeros. I don't have time to count them all. But basically, it's like that guy that had those 25 video cards. He built them himself and used Hashcat and built a little cluster. I mean, what was he able to do with that? He was able to crack.
Well, he was doing that I think he was cracking WPA2 passwords, which does take a crap long time to do.
Well, he said he could crack Windows XP passwords, which I think is LM passwords, in 6 seconds.
Yeah, LM hash, yeah.
LM hash is in 6 seconds. So anyway, go to a website and figure out. Okay, so I typed in an 8-character password, and it's 6,000 seconds. I don't know how many days that is, but it's probably shorter than your password must change in this amount of time policy. So
you said 6,000 seconds?
Yes.
Yeah, that's like 100 minutes.
So let me try the 6 characters all lowercase. My example from before: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, it's like 100 minutes.
0 seconds. 0 seconds. Great. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So
thank you, Dale Swanson.
You were talking about the passphrase and Purple Monkey Dishwasher. What happens if you did require people to have a picture on their desk that they changed semi-regularly that had, the password in it? Like you took 3 things from that thing. Like let's say you had a Pink Panther picture on your desktop. You would put...
I would require them to do that? I'd probably have to visit HR, but okay, let's go with it.
Okay, so you've got 100 people. Okay. They go and they take a picture, something they did at Disneyland or with their family. They put a picture on their desk somewhere. They pick 3 things out of it, and that's their password.
Yeah, as long as it's 20 characters. Awesome.
They could do
it's a hell of a lot stronger, and you can do the math. 26, and they can be lowercase too. 26 to the 20th. What is that?
Oh, jeez.
Hang on. 26 to the 20th.
26. I can't. It was at 26 times 20 times. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have my scientific calculator. Hold on. Let me.
Okay, I got it right here. 26 to the 20.
26.
Times 10 to the 28th.
To the 20.
All right. So
oh, man. Yeah, that's a lot.
28.
Yeah, 1.99 times 10 to the 30-somethingth power.
Okay, but if you type in 95, a 95-character alphabet to the 8th?
To the 8th power, yeah.
That's only 10 to the 15th. So
yeah,
you have a bigger character set, but less length, right? So you have to do the math. That's the point of this podcast. Be intelligent about your password policy. All right?
That's right.
Don't just think of something because it looks complex. Actually figure it out. Go back to your days of you don't even have to know algebra and calculus and all this crap, probability. Just, use that calculation. Take your character set, multiply it by the next character, by the next character, by the next character, and there you go. There's your possibilities right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of companies out there, though, that are going to have problems with that because it's going to clash with their compliance frameworks. Their compliance frameworks have a minimum requirement. So as long as they even, you could tell them to do Purple Monkey Dishwasher, and it's like, oh, you still need a special character. Well, then just put a bang at the end or something.
Yeah.
I
always
you can get it.
I always put 5 stars at the end of my passwords.
Wow. You heard it here, folks. So no, well, I mean, if you do Purple Monkey Dishwasher and you put a space between those, I guess the space is the special character. So you're going to have your special character. You're going to have your upper and lower if you put capitalization on the purple or the monkey or the dishwasher.
Yeah, and this
I
right
guess
here,
number,
this password policy I have, no spaces. Dang, why? Why no spaces? That's crazy. Maybe it was a developer who, if you put a space, then it screws up their, their parser. I don't know.
Yeah. That would be my guess for the no number on the first character. There has to be something in the
ridiculous
parsing. Yeah, they don't hash it, because if they hashed it, then it wouldn't matter if it was a first character was a number or not.
Get a better developer. I'm sorry. Get better development.
Yeah, and if you do have a password policy like that, you need to really, especially if you're an InfoSec, you need to bring that up to management and explain to them that if we're storing our passwords properly, it shouldn't matter all these, you must have one character, you must have one lowercase, you must have one number. As long as you're hashing things correctly and storing them, you can do away with the, you can't use the last 24. Well, you want to have password history, but you can get rid of a lot of the stupid esoteric complexity rules.
And when I see a stupid password policy, it just tells me that their security team isn't worth their salt, and it's going to be easy pickings. As a hacker, that's what I'm looking for.
You had something, we're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna get away from the password bit a little bit. You had something interesting happen this week that has something to do with malware, for like exactly what we learned from Michael Gough, our hacker hurricane.
Yeah, so someone I know got infected with malware. They clicked on a link in an email, and somebody called them. And I don't know how they got their number. Probably their phone number was somewhere on their computer. Called them, said, "Hey, I'm from McAfee." And he didn't have McAfee. He had Norton. But I'm from McAfee, and you've got a virus. And he said, "See, I can, I'm moving your mouse right now. I'm from the department of, whatever. We fix computers. And, give me your credit card number, and I'll fix it." So, the guy convinced him. I guess he was a little bit pushy, but he acted like he knew what he was doing. And, basically installed some other tools. So he used a Trojan to control his computer, which is what he got initially. And then he installed whole disk encryption, what I believe is whole disk encryption on his computer. So, yeah, and I said, look, cancel your credit card, unplug your computer, and bring it to me. So I took a look at it, and I was like, okay, what is on this computer that, because I didn't know if it actually was malware. It sounded like it. It had the telltale signs. So I turned it on, and the first thing I noticed was he had to type in a password before Windows even loaded. And that told me, oh, crap, it's got whole disk encryption on it. So then when I finally logged in, there were some icons on the desktop that actually didn't show up when you did dir from the command prompt. I was like, whoa, that's weird. I don't know what that is. Maybe I'll ask Michael when I talk to him next, but that was kind of strange. And then I looked in user app data for executables. Boom, there it was. That was the Trojan that he used. And I don't know what else is on there. Maybe it's got a rootkit. No idea, but I'm going to try to do the restore factory defaults on it that the company that manufactured the laptop has, which is, I think, a great feature. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, from, our conversation with Michael Gough, I'm a better, at finding malware.
It sounds like we, not only did we teach people on our podcast, we learned a little bit ourselves. So you said it was in user app data that the executable was in?
Yeah. I just looked there, like he said, there should be no executables in user app data. And sure enough, there was. And so then I knew right away that he was infected. It was not legit. like he may have thought, and there you go. He may have been part of a botnet, or it may have been, ransomware, which is what I think it is, because he did the encryption.
Were you able
it,
to delete the executables out of the user app data?
We'll see.
And did you attempt to do a 4-second salute to see if it would, clean it up without having to?
That didn't work. I don't think it was that persistent. I haven't finished yet my analysis of it, but we'll see if the restore default can clean that up. But yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay, that was. I think we learned a lot about passwords this week, and also a little bit about that malware detection, and actually works. And a little forensics there, Mr. Boettcher. That was impressive.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get a lot better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, we're always learning. So.
I've read a book that Michael recommended, Malware, Rootkits, and Botnets.
Okay.
Yeah, real good book. So
nice.
If you're interested.
Yeah, well, I'll post a link up on our Amazon to that. So, sweet. All right. So I guess that was it for breaking down security. If you want to get a hold of us, we're on Twitter I'm at Brian Brake, and Mr. Boettcher is at
Boettcher Pwned.
Boettcher Pwned. That's with a P, not an O. We're also on LinkedIn. You can find us on LinkedIn if you want to, link to us professionally or what have you. So I guess that was it for Breaking Down Security. That was episode 8, but actually it was our 10th episode. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I know, right?
We're
I
getting
feel
better,
old.
man. So, yeah, everybody, make better password policies, please.
Yes, please.
For my sake.
Please. I know. We'll sleep better at night. Okay, that was it. Have a good day. We'll see you next week.
Awesome.